Thank you for holding. We look forward to talking with you soon. Please hold the line, and we'll be right back with you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Suzanne Carolyn. I'm here at HighRoad Solution, and we're really pleased to begin our webinar today. We have a special guest speaker named Ronan Keane. I'll introduce in just a moment. But before we get started, I just had a couple of housekeeping notices. Today's presentation is going to last about 45 minutes. We'll have a Q&A session afterwards. You can ask questions one of two ways. You can simply use the pod part where you have the Q&A and type in your question, and I'll go ahead and moderate that for you. Or then you can also go ahead and raise your hand in the little pod, and I can also see that, and you can ask me a question if you would like to do so privately. During the call, if you have any technical questions, feel free to, again, use either the podcast chat feature, or you can always email us at support@highroadsolution.com. Today's webinar is being recorded, so all of your participant lines will be muted during the live program. Without further ado, though, I do want to go ahead and remind you one last thing. We do give away a CAE credit for ASAE. So if you do want to receive a CAE credit, make sure that you do use the pod feature, type in the Q&A session, that your name, that you've been there, and again, if you're having trouble, go ahead and send us an email at support@HighRoad Solution. We'll make sure that you get credit for that from ASAE, and thank you on their behalf for being a member. So with no further ado, I would like to introduce today's presenter, Ronan Keane from XO Communications. And just before I hand it over to Ronan, just a couple of notes on what our whole thing is about for February for HighRoad U. Again, we're focusing on love, being a good month for that. And what we wanted to do is start to present some new ideas and really give you some insight as to how the big companies are doing this effectively, how they're using the new tools, digital marketing, et cetera, to really help to start to influence and start to get people to incite to action, and do that many times through content. So without any further ado then, Ronan, I will turn it over to you, and again, thank you for joining us.
Okay, thanks so much, Suzanne. Good afternoon to everyone. My name is Ronan Keane. I am the social media marketing manager for XO Communications and have been for 4 years. I manage our social media marketing, and a significant part of our digital marketing. So today's webinar is titled How to Use Social Media to Get Prospective Customers to Love You. This is possible. It is possible to get your future customers to love you. However, you do need to follow lots of best practices, which I'm going to talk about today, and I'll be using some good visuals to help me along. I hope you don't mind. We've got a little bit of marketing propaganda before I start on the social media. I did want to just make everyone familiar with the XO Communication Services portfolio. We're basically a telecom and cloud service provider, so we do a lot of different things, provide small, medium, and enterprise-sized companies with a lot of communications needs. We are all over the country. We have one of the biggest networks in the United States, and we have a lot of customers, some small, some lots of very medium-sized customers, and then some very large customers as well. So if you're ever chatting with your IT folks and they need some telecom or IT or cloud services, please consider XO Communications. Okay, so today's agenda, there are 7 things. Structure of marketing at XO Communications. I thought I would take just a minute to show you how we're structured within our marketing department. We're also going to look at some of the objectives for XO social media, talk about our social media accounts, what we use and how we use them, and then our tools, right? So there are, and as all of you are aware, I'm sure, hundreds maybe even thousands of social media tools. Many of them are good, many of them are free, and I'm just going to touch on some of the tools that we use. And then we're going to talk about measuring and tracking, which is very important in the digital realm, anything that you're doing. And then some other sort of broad tools, and then we're going to talk about some of the successes that you can expect. Okay, so this is our structure at XO Communications. And basically we have three big groups of teams. Well, I should say social media is a little bit smaller. I've got three folks working with me, and we manage social listening, social media marketing, corporate brand building, lead generation on social media websites and networks. We do quite a bit, as you can see. We also have marketing programs who are responsible for generating leads, creating content, campaign management, so more sort of traditional campaign management, where if we're launching a new service or product, our marketing programs team would plan, develop, execute plans and deliverables like content and videos and a lot of other content that we would use. And then we have product marketing, who are sort of at the their domain is the start of the process of marketing our services. They work directly with the product folks, and they help position our services, and they do a lot of sales enablement. They teach our salespeople about the new services and work with training. We also have training. And at the bottom you'll see XO and then the sales team. And they are basically, the XO corporate brand and the sales teams are our internal customers. So, again, not a big surprise to anyone, but these are the platforms that we spend the majority of our time on. Let me just differentiate these for you. So Twitter is a classic social networking site, and YouTube would be a classic social media type. So again, let's just talk for a second about the difference between each one of those. Twitter, social networking. YouTube, social media. So what it does is YouTube allows you to store media, videos, and people can share, comment, like the media on that site. So it's primarily there to store your media and then for you to be able to share that media. Twitter and LinkedIn are a little different. They're social networking sites. Twitter being a classic, where it's not really about media, it's about engagement, dialogue, conversations. However, we've all seen new features being added to Twitter, to LinkedIn, and to Facebook as well, where media is definitely being incorporated into those social networking sites. And then you'll see the red or the orange square on the left-hand side there. That is the RSS icon, which is traditionally used as an icon to represent blogs. So we have a corporate blog as well. So we have and have been working on increasing our followers on social networking and media sites. So followers, what are followers? We're all familiar with that term in some aspect, but I use the analogy of subscribing, right? So when someone follows you on a social network, what they're doing is they're subscribing to your updates. They're saying, I am opting in to receive updates from you when I'm on my social networking platform. So when I'm logged into Twitter, logged into Facebook or LinkedIn, and I follow you, I want to see and receive updates because I'm interested in your company. And I'm talking about this in the context of a corporation, of a business. So we've worked hard to get those 30,000 followers, and we did it by sharing good, valuable content about XO Communications, as well as our industry. So we share a lot of updates about what's going on in the industry. It keeps our followers, quote-unquote followers, updated, right? So we become a source of news, of content curation. And that's a really good way to build your followers on social networks, both for you personally as well as your corporate brand. And I mentioned that followers are like subscribers. They are. So if any folks out there do email marketing, you'll know that your subscribers, email subscribers who opt in, who want to receive your emails, it's a very similar type of situation. You want to send those people good email content, and you don't want folks to unsubscribe. And we operate in the same way. We don't want our followers on our social networking accounts to unsubscribe or unfollow us. Okay, so I really try to boil it down to 4 main components for how you actively pique a prospect's interest and keep their interest, and then how you can also reach out to that prospect. And we do it in four main ways: through content, through engagement, through paid or native advertising, and then through our employees. We've got 4,000 plus employees, and we're working hard to get our employees more involved with our social sharing. Advertising is also becoming a much more important element of social media and social networking. There was a time when people thought when you just shared good content in an organic way that you would get followers. But advertising, investing in some advertising, really helps to speed up that whole process. So I'm going to talk to you and show you some examples of what each one of these things look like. So, content. This is our YouTube channel, and we have literally hundreds of videos that we add. So we produce these videos, and they're used in a lot of different ways. But we also have our own YouTube account. Anytime someone does a search for using a keyword on YouTube or even on Google, our goal is to present a certain video or even a certain set, a playlist of videos to that person who's searching. And we embed these videos on our website, on landing pages. So we use YouTube for a lot of different reasons, primarily to embed on our digital assets, like landing pages, like our website, but we also use it and upload them to YouTube, which is the second largest search engine after Google, and is basically a place that you need to be if you're publishing videos. We also have a blog. So a blog is a really great way for you to showcase your internal subject matter experts. So our blog is populated by a lot of blog posts on topics, again, related to our industry. However, we don't do any kind of hard sell with our blog posts. It's just our internal subject matter experts, like product folks, sales engineers, people from the leadership team, from our C-level suite. These are all people sharing their opinions, their insights, and their experience, all related to our industry. But our primary editorial guideline, right, is for us to provide insights and value that our customers and our prospects would find really useful. That's why we never lead with our services. We never write about our services. You can go to our website and learn about our services. Again, our editorial strategy here is to really provide insights and teach our prospects something new that they didn't know about. So let's talk about engagement, the next big bucket. And many of you, if not all of you, will be familiar with Facebook. And you probably follow at least a couple of different brands on Facebook. And so, again, we're on Facebook, XO Communications, and we share a lot of good content about XO, and we also share industry content. But we also try to engage our followers, and we try to have conversations. We ask them their opinions about the content that we share. Some would argue that it's very difficult for people to have a good engagement, a good dialogue with a brand, right, with a logo. What we try to do, though, is create conversations between people on our Facebook page. So it's not just two people, it's not just us, XO Communications, the corporate brand, dialoguing with people. It's we want to start a conversation, and we want people, customers who are customers of XO, to chat and talk with each other. And we're sort of a conduit to make that happen. And again, the value here is that we are providing good insights and providing a platform, a place for our customers to dialogue with each other and learn from each other as well. And we're also on Twitter.com. So again, if you're not familiar with Twitter, Twitter is a completely different beast, animal to Facebook.com. Facebook is definitely more intuitive. Many of us are much more familiar with how Facebook works. Twitter is like a giant, open, public SMS platform where people can, chat and dialogue with anyone and everyone they wish to. The key is to getting people to respond to you, right? And it's primarily used for people to share news, all kinds of updates, and we see a lot of Twitter on the TV. So it's a great place for people to share, learn, and chat with other folks who are interested in specific topics. We have a lot of inbound traffic from Twitter, much more so than Facebook, for example. We find that a lot more traffic comes from Twitter, and people are much more likely to click on Twitter and go to another place than if they were on Facebook. Facebook users typically stay on Facebook and look at content and look at videos and don't necessarily go to other digital assets like your website. Advertising, which I mentioned at the start of the call, is something that we invest in. And advertising in social media and social networks to really promote certain things that we think are really important is something that we believe we need to invest in. Let me use this example that you're looking at on the screen. This is an update on LinkedIn, and it's about a webinar that we produced, and we've titled Bring Your Own Device or Bring Your Own Disaster. And we know that BYOD to our prospects is a really important topic for them. Our prospects, especially in IT, are really grappling with how to solve the BYOD issue. And in short, it's about employees bringing their own devices to work and using it for work, email, phone calls, and there are a lot of security risks associated with that. So we know this is important, and we know that if we invest in promoting this update on LinkedIn, we'll get a lot of exposure, and we want a lot of clicks, and we want people to register for the webinar. So I've circled in the box there some insights that you'll see. We've got over 11,000 impressions. That means people have seen it. And then we've got 49 plus clicks, which means people have clicked on the link in the update. We've had 5 interactions, which means that people have liked it or have shared it. We've gained 5 new followers. So 5 new people have opted in and have followed the click button for XO Communications, in effect saying, we want to see more of this content from you. So this is sort of like getting an email address from someone so that you can continue to share content with them. And then we've seen a 0.5% engagement rate. The second example under advertising is a sponsored tweet. So yes, you can sponsor tweets. You can actually do a lot on Twitter if you've got the budget and the money to do it. I wanted to share some examples of a sponsored tweet from June of last year. And basically, we are promoting the same thing, and it's our new cloud solution. And we've also included a link there. It's a shortened link, and that goes directly to a landing page on our website for people to learn more about our new cloud solution. So again, sponsored tweets. This means that when we sponsor a tweet, it gets shared with demographics that we choose. So when I was running this program, these sponsored tweets last year, I chose where in the country I wanted the sponsored tweet to appear. I chose the title of the people, the industry, and the size of their companies, and other targeted demographics for really targeting these promoted tweets. And it worked really well. We got a lot of inbound traffic from Twitter to that particular web page on our website. So in short, having a small budget for this kind of advertising is significantly less expensive than pay-per-click advertising or banner ads. This is very targeted stuff, and it's worked very well for us. I also wanted to talk about our employees and how we use our employees to help us promote the brand and promote a lot of our content. So this first example that you're seeing is Yammer, Yammer.com. Yammer.com is great for businesses. There is a free version, which is the version that you're looking at. It is and works just like Facebook. It's very similar. So if you're an organization and you want to be able to share ideas, share documents, get opinions, and avoid a lot of emails going back and forth, but tracking conversations and dialogues out in the open or within separate groups, you can do it on Yammer. I highly recommend this platform for organizations who are larger. It's sort of like a hybrid between LinkedIn groups and then Facebook. It's very intuitive. You can share information with individuals or with groups, and we found it to be extremely effective across a lot of different organizations where email becomes just very frustrating and very complicated to manage. Another paid service that we use is called Gagalamp. Gagalamp is a great platform. What it allows you to do is all your employees can connect their social networking accounts like Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and then you as the administrator can upload updates like Twitter updates, LinkedIn updates, Facebook updates about your company. Could be a press release, a new video, a new blog, and also industry information. And when you click send, that goes out via all of your employees' social networking accounts. So let's say Jane Smith works in accounting at your company, and she connects her Facebook and LinkedIn account to Gagalamp. When you send an update, that update goes out to Jane Smith's network on LinkedIn and on Facebook. Now, Jane also has the choice of choosing that update to go out automatically without her seeing it, or she can go in and filter and pick which updates go out and which don't. It's an incredibly powerful tool. I highly recommend it. The challenge, the hardest part, is getting your employees to do it, right, to sign up and connect their accounts. However, if you've got a good brand, a good group of trusted employees, it shouldn't be difficult at all. It's incredibly valuable to your to your brand, to your network, and building your network. We are also right now in the middle of launching literally hundreds of XO sales blogs. These are sales professionals at XO who have years of industry experience, again, a lot of insights, and they are blogging, writing blogs, and sharing it with the world, sharing it with their customers, with their prospects on LinkedIn, Twitter, and anywhere else that they have social networking accounts. This particular person is Molly French, who works out of our Spokane, Washington office, and she's writing about how you need to work with a vendor who will be part of your IT team. So we have just started this. We're very excited about it, and her readers can download, read different digital assets from XO Communications, watch videos, download white papers, read case studies, all from her blog, and they will be able to do it on all of our salespeople's blogs. So we're very excited about this particular initiative. So our social media results in 2013 have resulted in 1,000 plus leads generated on social networking sites. We've generated 1+ million opportunities. And what I mean by opportunities are salespeople who have actually had a conversation with a prospect, and that prospect has said, yes, I'm potentially interested in learning more about the services that you provide. We have done this primarily using social selling. If you're not familiar with social selling, it's simply put, it's salespeople, rather than pitching their services, it's becoming trusted members of our prospects networks on LinkedIn and Twitter. It's our salespeople, our subject matter expert salespeople, sharing good advice, good tips through the content that they curate on LinkedIn and Twitter. And it has worked incredibly well for us. In fact, so much so that we are blowing this program out in 2014 and making it much bigger and involving more people within the XO organization, more resources. Again, we have generated $52,000 in monthly revenue via social media as well as our social selling program. Again, this is unprecedented for us. I can honestly say that social media and social selling have been key because, and the reason why it's helped us so well is because at the very core of social networking and social selling is trust. When a sales subject matter expert salesperson at XO makes a call to a prospect and requests that they sit down with that prospect to tell them more about what's going on in the industry and how XO can help them, they've already built a lot of trust on LinkedIn and on Twitter with that prospect by connecting with them, again, sharing really good insights, educating the prospect, and providing those insights and helping them to understand what's going on in their industry, also what their competitors are up to. So really becoming a really trusted source and resource for sharing good information. And because our prospects are so knee-deep in their own work, our salespeople are taking the time out of their day, again, to share really good information with our prospects. And this has all led up to prospects becoming much more willing to sit down with our subject matter expert salespeople to meet with them and learn more about our services. And again, in total, having 40,000 followers who have opted in to following our corporate brand on social networks and social media, it's not an easy thing to do. However, if you produce good content, being a good content curator, not just limiting it to your corporate content and your company content, but being very willing to share third-party information. Could be Forrester, Gartner, analyst information, other third-party blogs, videos related to your industry. No content is off limits, but making sure that it's really helpful, it's got good information that your prospects will learn something from. That's how you're going to build your followers. And also investing, a small amount of your budget that you might have traditionally allocated for printed content, taking some of that and then putting it to promoting and advertising your brand and your own content on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. This has worked really well for us as a brand. Okay, so that concludes the slide portion. Does anyone have any questions, which I'd be very glad to answer?
Yeah, Ronan, I have a couple questions that have rolled in. I think there's probably about 12 questions, all of the same ilk, and I think we'll start with they're really all under the umbrella of change management. So I think that's the best way to put it. So some of the questions are starting with kind of a trust standpoint with staff. So it goes a little bit into in how you guys have done this successfully. Within the association community, there still is, the standard would be that maybe one, marketing has the kind of the corporate level Twitter handle, Facebook account, blah, blah, blah. But that this idea that the entire staff would be able to be out there on social media, being able to promote the brand and have content push through, all of those things, there's still fear there. So could you give any pointers for how XO, since you've been there, a number of years, how you've moved through that process in being able to have things like sales blogs and, all this kind of ways? I love that all the employees can opt into adding their accounts together and those types of things. Thoughts on helping organizations go through the transition into kind of this social world where everybody can be a part of be a brand ambassador?
Yeah, so you know what, thanks Suzanne, and thanks for the folks who asked those questions. That's really very perceptive by your audience. That is really the crux and the heart of the matter. Unless you have executive buy-in, this is not going to happen. And if it does happen, it's going to happen piecemeal, and it's not going to be effective. So, so step one is really to get executive sponsorship, whether it's the CEO, a CMO if you have one, or a VP, who will very publicly stand behind these initiatives and say, okay, we as an organization are going to embrace social media, and we are condoning this, and we trust our employees to go ahead and start participating. Now, as the person who is actually planning, implementing, and rolling it out, you need to have a plan. So step one, obviously, is your executive sponsorship. Step two is, if I'm rolling this out to employees, I need internal communications. I need to outline what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, how long it's going to take, and the role that we want you to play. So again, we used Yammer internally, and we got the people who put their hands up first. Right, you're always going to have the early adopters, you know, and the laggards from one end of the spectrum to the other. The early adopters are going to say, yeah, I'm in, I love this, I want to be part of it. And then you're going to have the laggards, right, who are going to wait and play the wait and see game. So you're going to use your early adopters, work with those guys initially, and explain to them and coach them. A lot of it is hand-holding and coaching. And doing a lot of education, not only for employees, but for the C-suite, so that they build trust, gain understanding, and then really get behind it. And that is not something you're going to do in a week, 2 weeks, or a month. That's a slow process. So I would pick your battles, fight and pick little wins, and make sure what you're going after is a little win, and then build upon that. And then before you know it, you're going to reach a really good momentum where everyone's on board, and you as that social media subject matter expert will find implementing these initiatives much, much easier.
So maybe along the same lines of that, because I think the piece that you were talking about of moving towards the social selling model, what hit me with that, and this is my own question, what hit me with that one is within, again, many associations, a large portion of their revenue on an annual basis is coming through events. And what they do is that in large part is through exhibitor trade show sales, right? So actually selling the booth space and selling all those kind of sponsorship packages and whatnot. Yeah. And that is still traditionally being handled currently from a really cold calling perspective, right? And so, and people hate it. So people hate it. They don't, it's not, they're finding it's not as effective. I mean, again,
no one likes it. Yep.
No one likes it, right? It used to work. It's not working as well anymore. And they're now grappling with how to move to, I don't know that they know that social selling is an option out there, but really the question is, again, with the change management of how have you guys been also successful in getting the sales team perhaps on board to move them from that cold calling to a social selling kind of mentality? Because I certainly have seen, where they say, well, it seems more effective to call, right? I feel like I'm taking action, and like versus writing a blog post. There's not that feeling there, so it's transitioning people into a social selling mindset. Have you worked within that at all?
Oh, absolutely. And again, a really good question. Again, there is no silver bullet for this. In my experience, having put the program, designed the program, and then rolled it out, and literally traveled to every market in the U.S. last year, I racked up a lot of miles. What is key is really the salespeople. Almost every salesperson knows that no one is responding to emails and cold calls anymore. It's just that, so I'm over that big hump. They already know that. They're feeling that pain. It's a huge pain. So now you come along with a new solution. And yes, with that comes some skepticism because they're not familiar with it. However, with a little bit of training, and with WebExes like this. So I've done hundreds of WebExes like this in the vein of training salespeople. So rolling out the concept, what is this conceptually? And then, okay, now please, the salesperson will say, Ronan, I love this. Please give me a step-by-step tactical execution plan for me to be able to do this. And that's the next part that I've done. And now, and the ultimate result is they're no longer cold calling, they're warm calling, because the prospect knows them on LinkedIn and has agreed to become a first-degree connection with them because their profile, LinkedIn profile, is outstanding. It's super polished. They look really professional. They are showcasing their content on their LinkedIn profile. They're making their value interactive. So their profile is step one, and then they're sharing content and asking good questions and interacting with their prospects in the groups that they know their prospects are in on LinkedIn. So I'm giving you just a couple of examples, but it doesn't have to be a blog post. It's about finding really good information and using LinkedIn and Twitter to push that information out to their prospects and saying, hey, when you're ready, look, you can trust me. I've shown that I'm keeping my finger on the pulse of what's going on in your industry and my industry by sharing this really valuable content with you. And then let's connect on LinkedIn. And then there is a point in time where you make the call or you send the message, hey, you know what, let me sit down with you and show you the things that you really need to pay attention to that are changing in your industry and my industry. Instead of saying, hey, I've got a service I want to sell you, that plays a part in it, but that trust factor is almost gone through the roof for their prospect. They're ready to make the call. And then the call is not a cold call anymore. They've seen you on LinkedIn. They've looked at your profile. They've looked at your updates. And now that trust is significantly grown. And that's sort of very quickly and at a high level how the process works. And that's how we've done it at XO, and how these salespeople have been able to generate the revenue by making the appointment, and the prospect is willing to sit down with them.
Well, and then, of course, then they're believers, right? When the money
then
hits,
then
the opportunity is really there. So, I mean, I guess maybe on that same vein, because you had some great numbers on being able to see the leads come in, and then how they've actually then converted to opportunity and then ultimately resulted in some sort of sale. So from this is a technical question to come in. How have you been able to say, okay, we met them on LinkedIn, or they became a follower on Twitter, and then ultimately they ended up, as an opportunity? Can you actually track that through with systems?
Yes, and we track it through mostly with free systems. So as much as we use Eloqua, so it's a marketing automation tool amongst other features that it provides. Suzanne, we do simple things like we use Google Analytics, and we use something called UTMs. And if you go to Google and put in UTM generator, you can create for free trackable links that you can put in your updates on those promoted updates on LinkedIn, those promoted tweets. You can track and see that in Google Analytics, and then see, did this actually turn into a completed web form that someone completed on your website? You know what else we've done? We've used Google Drive, which is a free platform, to create web forms and put them on our salespeople's LinkedIn profiles.
Wow.
So, yeah, our prospects are visiting each individual salesperson's profile on LinkedIn. They see a piece of content that they like, a white paper. They click on it, and it says, would you like to download this white paper? All on LinkedIn. They fill out the form, short form, and then the salesperson gets the lead, and the prospect gets the asset. And it's a very simple thing to do.
That's a great idea. Yeah, I mean, that's brilliant. And, and I can see associations very easily, they're like content creation machines. I mean, they could very easily have content that's getting out there. They could do a very similar thing about, are you interested in becoming a member, going to the event, all of those types of ideas, and very simple to implement, hugely powerful.
If the content is already created, then the hardest part is done. The rest of it is just infrastructure, putting the right pieces in place. So those are some of the ways that we track our success.
That's wonderful. And really the last question, I had a couple. This one was a very popular question that's come in, and that is, you might have answered it with the top-down kind of getting the buy-in to start with, but a lot of questions on budget, of how have you actually been able to convince people to say we should we should invest money. And again, many times, I think if I can speak on behalf of the association industry as a whole for a second, when you look at their marketing portfolio or their marketing mix with it's still a very traditional marketing spend. So there's still a lot of stuff in print and direct mail and things like that. So opening up a budget that is filled with, I'm so happy you covered promoted tweets and whatnot, by the way, but having things like promoted tweets and having, LinkedIn advertising in there. And these are kind of new ideas there, right? So any thoughts for, how they can help to put a budget in place and then also give some metrics on those particular spends so that it's not kind of like what happened with banner ads when people said, well, look, if we're spending this money, nobody ever clicks on the banner ad, therefore there's there's zero value to it, even though maybe people, there was thousands of impressions, but they were only looking at, a click-through rate on that. And so therefore, because nobody clicked on it, it had zero value. And so I think a lot of times the perception is there that if you invest in that type of advertising on social, somehow that same thing is going to come to play. It seems, again, like a better investment to put it into these tangible items, right? So I think as a whole, people are still struggling with how do you invest in digital and make that as part of your standard, de facto marketing mix that you have within the organization. So thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's another excellent question. And of course, I've come up against it, as I'm sure every digital marketer has.
Yeah, for
sure. Of course.
Yeah.
So the short version is you need to test it, right? Every good marketer knows that they need to test every medium and every channel for effectiveness. If you're just in one medium, the printed medium, and your measurement is extremely slim there, I would caution you to try other mediums and other channels within those mediums. Basically, I've had to throw the gauntlet down and say, look, I challenge me.
Mm-hmm.
Let's compare pay-per-click, and that's even almost more traditional now. And I'm talking about pay-per-click. Let's look at the cost per acquisition, so the CPA of a conversion, right? And a conversion is someone filling out a web form to download something, and you get their contact information. So let's test the cost of doing that on Google using pay-per-click versus doing it on LinkedIn or Facebook. Can we do that? So let's test it. And sure enough, the cost per acquisition, the CPA, has been significantly less, like 300 to 400% less using LinkedIn and Facebook. Facebook is getting a little bit more expensive than pay-per-click. And then I would even take it a step further and challenge your CFO with, look, we can't measure how effective printing out 50,000 direct mail cards versus having a targeted LinkedIn update to the very core of who we're going after, marketing managers or whomever those people are. You can target down infinitum. Now that's a slight exaggeration, but you can target the person, their function, their title, the size of the company they're working at. Tell me where else you can do that. So it came down to doing that, and again, the results have really spoken for themselves. And as I said, in 2014, I've been given significantly greater budget and more resources, and I only see this getting better and better. So yeah, but anyway, let me just kind of bookmark that with the other end of it by saying you need to test. If you're doing the same thing over and over again, then that's probably not a good idea, and I'm sort of being generous there as well.
Mm-hmm. And so then, and then kind of circling back to the very beginning, and again, this is my own question, but just because I think this is a fascinating kind of idea, speaking of testing and measuring. So at the end of the day, within XO, all of the social stuff, and then all of the other ways that you guys are marketing your events, your, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, do they all dump down into a set of just KPIs that you guys look at, or how do you eventually merge them? Because I know that, again, organizations really struggle with how to, for some reason, I think that there's a disconnect, like somehow social is kind of put off into its corner by itself, and somehow, again, that's different than email and different than events and different than, these other ways that you might go about going to market, like through partnerships or something like that. Even though, as a digital marketer, you understand social is connected to all of these different pieces, and it should be a part of, the events and email and on and on and on. So how do you guys put all that together, if you will, and make sure that social doesn't get relegated off to its corner like it's its own thing that has nothing to do with all the other activities of the organization?
Yeah, and again, a great question. So originally, 4 years ago, it was like that. It was sort of the stepchild, right? The redheaded stepchild.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And now through C-level sponsorship, CMO getting really behind it, and then that trickling down, it's given me a lot more leeway and a lot more wiggle room. So, for example, I've now convinced people to start putting follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook and YouTube on all of our white papers, and having as a PDF and having a hyperlink, something as simple as that, right? So that's one example of how we're integrating it. Email templates. Follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Again, same principle. And that's sort of the crawl part of integrating the channels. And then the walk part might be something as simple as, and I don't know if your audience are familiar with hashtags on Twitter, but hashtags are used to collate, organize conversations into one easy bucket so that people can find them. So we've started taking all of the conversations that people are having about our white paper and putting them on the landing page, which is real strong social proof that this is a valuable white paper. And you know what? People are talking about it on Twitter, and these are the real tweets, So well, that's kind of the walking part. And then the running part is, the entire organization backing our corporate brand on social media by liking, sharing our updates and our content with all of their network, right? Their network who are made up of people from all different industries, all different ages, spreading the brand, spreading the content. And those are three simple ideas for how we've done it. And you mentioned KPIs as well. They all have different KPIs. Again, our C-suite, when we report on this monthly, they're interested in KPIs like how much has our brand expanded compared to our competitors, and how much more exposure is our brand and our content getting. That's a big KPI. Another one would be, how many new prospects are our salespeople and sales engineers connecting with C-level IT people on LinkedIn. We can actually track that. We use LinkedIn premium accounts and all the reporting that comes with that to track that as an important KPI. Right? Are our salespeople connecting? Is the network growing with IT C-level people? So those are a couple of different examples. But that's been, the experience I've had over the years. Now, would I do things differently? Yes. Are things unique in every situation and at every company? Yes. I think the most important and crucial part is C-level buy-in at the very start. That's the most critical part.
Yeah, I think we might have to have we might need to ask your C-level people to help us co-write a paper on why that's important and the results you've had, because I think that I was just at a kind of an event yesterday speaking, and that was the top concern was, there's a lot of people mid-level who are on board with this, and how do they get, and associations have an additional piece of it, which is they have that board as well. So you have to have the board buy-in, right, plus the C-level suite, and then have them all together. And then, of course, once they decide, everything moves quickly. But
Yeah.
it's like we need more education. I think our digital marketers out there, we need to band together and do more education out there, get people moving.
Yeah.
One last comment I was just going to say is that the tool that you introduced, the Gagalamp one,
Yeah.
I think that is incredibly powerful, and I was just going to throw it out to our listeners here, because even if you're not thinking, like, if you're instantly thinking, oh, this will never pass, or our employees will never either do it, or we'll never get the okay for our employees to do it, what have you, but what a powerful tool that would be to get your volunteer base moving, like to mobilize a volunteer base to help spread your message, to
That's a
help
great
spread
idea.
that mission. And
Yeah.
I got chills when I saw that, and I went, wow, if you could apply that to a volunteer situation, oh, wow, that would be amazing for getting the word out. So I just wanted to highlight that. Well, we are at the top of the hour, and I've really, really enjoyed this, and thank you so much, Ronan, for joining us today and giving us all this tips and information and insight. Thanks for everybody who've written in through various ways on your questions. We will go ahead and be sending everybody an evaluation link, and Ronan, if you're fine with that, we'll also post your slides as well. And again, can't thank you enough, and I hope to see you soon. So thanks everybody for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Suzanne. Thanks, everyone.